So I'm sure a bunch of you are familiar with the teaching of the rapture, the idea that Jesus is going to come back, but before that happens, all the Christians get magically whooshed out of earth up into heaven, and then everyone who's left suffers enormously. So I grew up in a church that believed that and taught that. And so as a kid, I definitely thought that the rapture was going to happen. I remember having days where I thought, oh, maybe it's tomorrow. I have to be careful about what I'm doing and what I'm wearing so that I'm not doing something embarrassing when I get raptured up to heaven. And probably the weirdest part of the whole rapture culture is what I would call rapture porn. The idea that really reveling in all of the suffering that's going to happen once the Christians leave. And probably a lot of you are familiar with the Left Behind series. It was a bunch of books, and then it was in a movie made with Kirk Cameron. But if you were lucky enough to see the earlier version of that, there was a movie series made in the early 70s called A Thief in the Night. And as I went to a Christian elementary school, I had the distinct pleasure of watching this movie in class, taught to us like this was absolutely fact. In this movie, you see people getting the mark of the beast. They're getting tattooed or drug away to jail. One woman falls off a cliff to her death, and then anyone who doesn't get the mark of the beast gets killed via guillotine. And in this movie, there are several times where you actually watch someone get their head chopped off and you see the head and the blood. And so as a fourth grader, I had to consider, what am I going to do if this happens to me? What if I get left behind? Could I actually have my head cut off? Am I a strong enough Christian to say, no, I won't get the mark of the beast? And so looking back now, it seems like a preposterous thing to teach anyone, but a really terrible thing to teach kids. It's way too deep and painful and awful thing to teach to children. And so if that is any of you and part of your childhood, I feel for you, and definitely tell me about it in the comments.